This meeting will be recorded and it will be made available on the Durham Community Engagement website. And we will get to that. The recording has now started.
Good morning and welcome to District 4 and 5 PAC meeting. So good to see everyone this morning. Could we pause for a moment of silence, please? Thank you. And I'd like to thank everyone for coming out on such a beautiful day. Sun shining, it's gonna be 70. Good time to get out. We're gonna start with Amanda. You want to?
Yes, I just have a few announcements from District 4 and District 5. For those who are still kind of new to PAC, I just want to make sure that you all know that PAC 4 and 5 is part of a citywide PAC that's made up of PAC 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we are really trying to work together to unify to make sure that we are addressing issues that affects the entire Durham. We try to meet once a month, and we try to make sure that we share information, resources, and community activities that will impact the entire Durham. One of the things I did want you all to know that this recording will be available on the Durham Community Engagement website. I will make sure I put that website in the chat so you all will be able to have access to this and other PAC meetings, Zoom meeting, just in case you can't attend or you want to go back. PAC 4 and 5, we are in need of a secretary. If you or someone in the District 4 and District 5 PACs are interested in serving as secretary, it's a good time to kind of learn a little bit more about what we do, get some direct insight on additional things we can do. Please, please, please think about becoming the secretary. If you need items placed on the agenda for the next month, please email Durham District 4 PAC at gmail.com. That's the same email you will use if you have issues that you need to be addressed from in your community. Please use that email to contact us so we can get directly on that. I will begin to share the agenda a week before the meeting, so you all will have access to those. We are working on getting MailChimp so we can begin to send out newsletters to you all and be able to handle a bigger bulk of information that comes down. The listserv is growing and growing and growing, which is very good. That means a lot of community partners are knowing about PAC. We will encourage them to try to come to this meeting. We want to try to make this your meeting and bring people in front of you that you all will like. If there's more information or more organizations or businesses that you all want, please let us know. We want to make sure that we are supplying and doing what your needs are. And with that, I think that's it. Thank you all.
Are there any questions for Amanda? If there's no questions, thank you. Joyce, our health department. Joyce, are you with me?
I am. I would like to share my screen. Can you all see a screen for me?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much. And thank you, everybody. It's great to see you this morning. I want to tell you that my partner, Alexis Steptoe, who was presenting with me, has accepted a new position at North Carolina State University as their Assistant Director of Wellness. And she asked me to please tell you that she misses you greatly, or will miss you greatly. But you're stuck with me. I'm still here. I'm sorry, but that is the way it will be.
We love you, Joyce.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's talk a little bit about what's happening in Durham County, specifically about COVID. And let me get my slides moving. Do you see the slide that shows that we had 1,197
yes,
new cases?
We do.
Okay. So it's the number of new cases are going down, which is good. However, the number of deaths are remaining pretty much steady in North Carolina. So people, please, we need to continuously get those vaccinations. It's so important. We know that people who are unvaccinated are 23 times more likely to end up hospitalized than those who are vaccinated. We have free walk-in clinics continuously for vaccinations, and Durham County Health Department for 414 East Main Street on Saturdays and Sundays, there's a, we don't have a clinic for vaccinations, but we do testing. But I want you to know that we are getting ready to build a new parking deck. Well, it's not, it's going to be a retail building. The parking lot in Durham County will no longer be come March because they're going to destroy that. And we, employees will be parking somewhere down the street and end up being shipped through a van. So those persons who want to get tested, this is the last weekend. Next weekend is the last weekend to get tested. Not to get your vaccinations, but to get tested, because they're doing the testing drive-through Saturdays and Sundays. Mask distribution. Lots of people are getting those free N95 masks from the library. Yesterday was the last day for library distribution of masks. If you did not receive it yesterday at the library, at least it's the last day until they have another supply. Stay tuned. Always go to the Durham County website to find out when they're going to have more masks available. Today at Northgate Mall at 12 o'clock, they are going to have drive-through mask distribution from Good Health Wins program. That's not Durham County Department of Public Health, but that's available for you at 12 o'clock. And I understand that they're going to have 10 masks per package. Choosing a mask is really important. The last time we met, there were questions about the N95, the KN95, the surgical mask. I was not prepared to tell you the difference. I'm still not an expert in that area, but we did have people contributing last month. We do know that the N95 is the best, and it's considered the respirator. It's the best because it fits so tightly over your face, it's more likely to protect you. The KN95 is next. Surgical mask, keep droplets from coming in. But whatever you get, you need to make sure it fits snugly over your mouth. That's the surgical mask. It fits more loosely. That's the KN95 respirator mask. Those are considered the best for stopping the filtration of airborne particles. However, if you have a person who has respiratory problems, like cardiac problems, heart problems, other medical conditions that make it difficult for you to breathe, this is not the mask that you want to use unless your doctor says that's good. You want to check with your doctor because it can make breathing more difficult. Again, we still have free N95 masks available. If you come to a testing site and get tested, they will give you a mask, but you gotta get tested. If you want to get masks for your business or church or community organization, Durham County has available masks that you can order in larger quantities by going to our website, dcopublichealth.org/mask request. There were people who ordered masks for their organizations from a federal site. And I know Mr. Chestnut tried to get some additional masks for his community, and they told him that they were no longer available. Right now, Durham County can, I hope Durham County still has masks, but it's on a first come, first served basis. And I will give you this PowerPoint slide presentation or send you these links. I'll give you my email address. There are free home tests available that you can order. I'm gonna go through this quickly because many of these things are known to you or can easily be found on your website. Durham Performing Arts Center and North Carolina Central University are two new test sites that have opened up. They're not the test sites that are run by our contractor, OptumServe. They're run by Curative. So we don't know how exactly those processes work, but they're there. And thank goodness, you want to use those if you have any concern about whether you have the virus. Durham County Public Health website always has information on COVID, up-to-date information. If you need child care help, information is there to help you. That is child care help when you want to go and get a vaccination or a test. Resource line is 919-560-9217. That's all about COVID. Now, so that's so much for COVID. Please get the vaccine, get the mask. There are a lot of things going on other than COVID. Marijuana use, for example, is something that we know can be very damaging. They're finding that people who smoke marijuana, their kids are more likely to have behavioral problems. Not the kids that are born. It has some genetic implication. It could be changing your DNA. So learn more about it. And there will be a conference on February the 27th with Try, that's Wanda Boone's group, and with Duke. It's free, attended, learn so much about it. And here's a person that works with me, Donna Rosser, who is going to be coordinating the registration of that with Wanda Boone and Duke. She's helping with that process. There's going to be a session February the 24th on toxic masculinity and sexual assault. We would love for you to attend that. It's free. The person who will be presenting is the pastor, and he has worked extensively with professional athletes. We often hear about sexual abuse with different athletes. At least it makes the news. I'm sure it's not even any more pervasive than the rest of the population. This is American Heart Month. We have a program to help you stop smoking. So important because if you smoke, that puts you at risk for heart attack and for stroke. Call our office and we will be glad to enroll you in those classes, which are held in the evenings on Thursday. We want you to walk with us next Saturday. This time next Saturday, I hope that everybody will join Durham County Men's Health Council and walk with us February the 19th from 9:30 to 10:30 at Southern Boundaries Park. That's off of Archdale Drive. And there's a Durham Parks and Recreation building next to it. The drive, because I never heard of Third Fork Road, but that's the road that's right there off Archdale Drive beside a green building where you see lots of facilities, parking vehicles parked for Parks and Recreation. And I see that Jeff Ford is on this, so I won't talk more about it. But that Men's Health Walk is very important. We're celebrating American Heart Month, and our health director, Rodney Jenkins, will be there to speak to you and answer questions about the status of health in Durham County. So please join us there. People are dying constantly from things like suicide. We've heard the very sad stories. We are encouraging people to call an 800 number to get help whenever they feel stressed out. The department will be offering a series of webinars on mental health. We hope you'll join us. I'm going to provide my information at the end, so you can always contact me. We have webinars that we do each month. They're listed on our website. And there's a webinar. We hope you will join us. Well, all of them we want you to join. So, of course, I want you to join my webinars, but everybody and all my colleagues are offering these fabulous webinars, and they do a good job. They do an excellent job. If you have diabetes, we have a diabetes support group that meets monthly on Tuesdays, and it meets from 6 to 7. If you're interested and you want more information, contact me or Willa Allen. And this is my contact information. Please give me a call. I can send you the PowerPoint slides. I can send you the connections. Glad to help you out. And if you would like someone to come and speak to your group about any of the issues or do presentations, we also are doing presentations, both in person, but not so much in person. But if you have a great facility, open space, like outside when we do our walks, or if you want to do a Zoom session with us, we're happy to come. Thank you all very much.
Joyce, can you send me this presentation and also the one from January? I went back and I see why I didn't send it out, because I didn't think I received the actual presentation from January. So if you can send those two, I get it out to everyone soon, quickly.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
You are almost as wonderful as Harold Chestnut. Thank you.
I'm getting there.
Thank you. I'll send that to you.
Do anyone have any questions for Joyce? Okay, thank you, Joyce. Do we have anybody from Parks and Recs?
I'm here, Mr. Chestnut. How are you, sir?
Good to see you, Jeff. I didn't know y'all didn't see you.
Yeah, I'm here. First of all, I just want to say good morning to all, and want to thank everybody, especially you, Mr. Chestnut, for coming out for the grand reopening at WD Hill and Weaver Street. I know you couldn't make Weaver Street, but you were there in spirit. So thank you for your support for that. And for those that haven't been able to see the new upgrades at the different sites at Weaver Street and WD Hill, please stop by. I think you'll be pleased with the upgrades at those centers. Upcoming programs for Durham Parks and Recreation. Right now, Durham Senior Games' registration has started. It will run until March 18th. And the Durham Senior Games will run from April 11th through May 9th. And there'll be games like table tennis, basketball, shooting, swimming, shuffleboard, pickleball, and more. So please, if you're 50 and older and you want to be part of the Durham Senior Games, please sign up now. Other things coming up is summer camp registration. Summer camp registration for youth and teens will start on March 7th at 9 a.m. online. We will have several sites this year, and we're looking to go to full capacity. And I'm sure there'll be some restrictions as far as what you have to wear a mask and things like that. I'm sure will still be around. So start on March 7th at 9 a.m. the registration. And it'll be for teens as well as youth. Night Flight Basketball will start back on February 25th. It'll run Fridays at different sites. That's for teens 13 to 18. The program is free and it'll be at different sites. And all this information that I'm giving you will be on the dprplaymore.org site. So just note that also. And I'll send it to Amanda also so she can have it also. Another thing, we have the Senior Spring Fling. It's kind of replaced, since we weren't able to have the Christmas thing for seniors, the mature adult Christmas party. They're having a Senior Spring Fling on April 8th from 4:30 to 7:30 at the Sheraton Imperial Hotel. Tickets for residents are $15, non-city residents are $20. Online purchase will start on Monday, February 21st at 9 a.m. Also, just to let you know that you can rent the Armory for special events, from weddings to conferences. So they just wanted me to announce that also. So if you have a event that you want to utilize a nice facility, you can rent the Armory, which is downtown Durham. And the Durham Armory Lottery. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I have a quick question about that. Mm-hmm. If people want to pay their deposit for the Armory, where do they go? They
go 400 Cleveland Street, okay, or they can go to any of the sites.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And there's an Armory. The Durham Armory has a lottery system, since so many people want to utilize it sometimes. So the lottery system will start on Tuesday, May 10th. And Joyce mentioned Men on the Move or the Men's Health Council. We will be doing our Health Heart Walk at Southern Boundaries Park, so please join us. I'll have a couple of gift cards for that day also. So if you come out, you might be able to win a gift card. So please come on out and promote health and well-being for men as well as our families. And it's a free thing, and we'll have another walk in March 19th at Duke Park. I might call that with March Madness. So March Madness walk or something. So please come on out, support the Men's Health Council, and make this a healthier place for men in Durham County and the surrounding communities. Like I said, I'll put my information in the chat. If you have any questions, please, I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Jeff. Anyone have any questions for Jeff about Parks and Recs? Thank you so much, Jeff. Good
You're
to see
welcome,
you.
sir.
Okay. Community engagement, Michelle, you with me?
Good morning, Mr. Chestnut and everybody else. I am Michelle Sellers. I'm actually Code Enforcement Division of Neighborhood Improvement Services. I believe Kevin's probably on here from Community Engagement. But I just want to quick and say, hey, we have our busy season coming up, which is, we call it our growing season. Seems like the 1st of March, sometimes it's hard to get going on cutting the grass and whatnot. So just remember, if you would, please call Durham One Call if you have any concerns of that nature. It really helps the officers out because we get inundated with calls, and then that way the cases can be set up and sent to the appropriate officer who can go out and take a look at those things. Any questions or anything for me?
Any question for Michelle? If your garbage not being picked up, call Michelle.
No, that's solid waste. Please call Durham One Call for that. That is solid waste. With Neighborhood Improvement Services, just to give you a little brief overview of those who don't know who we are, we make sure that property conditions are maintained. If there's housing concerns, somebody's not taking care of their house, peeling paint, rotted boards. If you ever see a house that is open that people might be coming in and out of, please contact us. We'll go out, we'll do an inspection. We'll make sure that structure gets shut up. If you know somebody who's renting a place and you hear them say, man, my landlord just won't fix anything, tell them to call us, call into Durham One Call. We'll make sure the appropriate officer goes out and takes care of that. We take care of things like high grass, junk and debris on property, and also junk vehicles on private property. Junk and hazardous vehicles on private property. Now, if you have a vehicle that's like sitting in the grass, that would go to the planning department. So those are some of our responsibilities. Any questions or anything, or any elaborations, or want any more explanations?
Any more questions for Michelle? Any questions at all for Michelle? Michelle, thank you, and good to see you again.
Good to see you guys. Y'all have a great day, and well, I'll be around if anybody needs anything.
Okay, we have anyone from the Sheriff's Department?
Yes, sir. Hey, Mr. Chestnut, how's everyone doing? It's Will Oakley with the Sheriff's Office. I just want to say good morning, first of all, and just a few updates from the Sheriff's Office. We did have a detention academy start last week, and we have a basic law enforcement training academy class starting next week. We're conducting both of those academies at Durham Tech out on Snow Hill Road, and as most law enforcement agents are always hiring, if you have any good applicants, please send them our way. Just a couple more updates. The Sheriff's Office implemented our body-worn camera program in mid-January, so we're still working to get that all the kinks worked out, but it's working well so far. I'm over the school resource officers, and we've been using it, and it's been working well. And but it's also in patrol civil courts. All those units have them. Additionally, the patrol division recently has begun training our people on less lethal shotguns for patrol beanbags for our patrol division. Our agency in January and February trained our law enforcement officers in a fair and impartial treatment training program that was fantastic for the agency. And lastly, Captain Barnes, who oftentimes participates in these meetings, he was very recently promoted to Major of Detention Services. So congratulations to him on that. And just one last thing, the Sheriff's Office is currently mentoring and coaching a group of youth at Oak Grove Athletic Complex, and they play. The name of the team is the Sentinels, and they play on Saturdays at around 3:20. If anyone ever wants to go out, the Sheriff's Office is really proud of our involvement with that organization and working with those kids. Other than that, everything's going well at the Sheriff's Office, and I'll be around if anyone has any questions.
Any questions for Sheriff? Thank you so much.
Mr. Chestnut, this is Joyce. Can I ask a
Yeah.
question?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. I want to know more about the emergency communication services and if there are opportunities for people to train to be a 911 operator. I'm not sure what the right term is, but I understand that there's a need for more people to be answering those 911 calls. And I want to know if that comes under the Sheriff's Department, the Police Department, and how you can become trained and if there are opportunities. And I see Captain Andrews is waving her hand to answer. So
Well, as far as the Sheriff's Office, yes, we do hire telecommunicators, and it's my understanding through talking with the telecommunicator supervisor that we do have several positions that would be posted on the Sheriff's Office website. And as well, I feel certain that the city of Durham 911, they probably need help too. But yes, we do have vacancies, and all of our stuff would be posted on the website, and Chief Andrews could probably answer more about Durham City's needs.
So there are two different operators from the department and from the police department. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yes, ma'am. The Sheriff's Office has our own independent 911 dispatchers, telecommunicators, and Durham, the city of Durham has one also. And I really can't speak much to that, but we do have our own.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And Captain Andrews, I saw.
Teacher Andrews, you had your hand up. Do you want to say something on that?
Yes, sir. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's good to virtually see everyone. But yeah, so I will just echo that. As you know, 911 Communication Center, the center is in constant need of staffing. We do operate the largest 911 emergency response center that services not just Durham PD, but also, EMS, fire, also does a lot of work with other municipalities when that's needed as well. In addition to, we are, and this is more so a discussion as far as the community safety department, they're going to need assistance with staffing that will be embedded within DECC, so 911 communications, to answer calls and help filter calls that should be assigned to the responders for CSD.
Thank you, and apologies. I think I called you captain, and that is incorrect. I should say chief. Right?
Well, I appreciate it, but I was a captain at one time, and so I'll answer to it.
I remember you helped us a lot as a captain.
Thank you, Chief. We'll bring you back a little later on. We will hear from our district captain now, Captain Barnes from District 5. Could we hear from you or someone from District 5? I don't see Captain Barnes on.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chestnut. John Tyler here. How are you?
Captain
Good. Good morning to everybody. Yep, things are going well in District 5. I'll touch on a few topics and then take any questions. So our current crime trends in District 5, crime continues to trend down in District 5, which is a good thing, as well as violent crime, especially in the last month. However, we had some spikes in break into motor vehicles, as well as thefts at construction sites. That tends to continue to be our spikes in the crime department. Some operations and initiatives, just to give you an overview, in District 5, patrol squads continue to conduct extra patrols in the area of Main Street, Andrew Avenue, Elm Street, Stokes, and Laurel Avenue. That tends to be where most of our violent crime comes in that area. And so they continue to do extra patrols in that area. They also are focusing on the 1000 to 2000 corridor of West Main Street, as well as the Rigsby Avenue area out over by Matheson, Rigsby Avenue, West Corporation Street. That's where our spikes in motor vehicle break-ins tend to be coming. And then, of course, the downtown construction sites. As everyone knows, downtown Durham is growing at a very rapid pace, which we're all glad for. For the month of January, 852 directed patrols were conducted in District 5, along with 114 foot patrols, 90 as well as 93 property checks. The increase in this data can be attributed to other discretionary departmental units assisting with patrol. That's other investigators riding patrol, command staff riding patrol, etc. Our officers were either self-initiated themselves or responded to 2,504 calls in District 5. And the most common non-self-initiated call was 911 hangups, coming in at 105. There were 187 reports written in District 5. And the most common was the private tows of motor vehicles from private property. So that's where the majority of those reports came from. And the second most common was larceny from motor vehicle, coming in at 17. Just to touch on our traffic services unit and our motor unit, which also is housed in District 5. They are continuing to concentrate on traffic enforcement in the 147 corridor where all the construction is going on. So they continue to run speed enforcement operations in that area. Just to touch on a few crime prevention tips and information. New signage is coming. So basically they're going to be putting some new signage on the parking meters downtown just to remind visitors of safety tips to reduce what they have in their car. Don't leave it out in the open. It's also going to reinstate to people or visitors to the downtown Durham area that if you see something, then say something. And I want to urge anybody in downtown, if you see something suspicious, don't hesitate to call 911 or the non-emergency call, which is 919-560-4600. There is a non-emergency line that you can call if you don't feel comfortable calling 911. But if you see something suspicious, call 911 so an officer can get there immediately. The other crime tip is aware of your surroundings at all times, and don't hesitate to trust your instincts. That's a biggie. That's a big thing. We encourage everybody in downtown area to continue to lock their doors and set their alarms. A lot of our break into motor vehicles come from unlocked vehicles. So please lock your doors. And if you have an alarm on your car, set your alarm. Criminals tend to not enjoy recognition from loud sounds. Another big issue that we have in vehicles is people leaving their spare key fob in their vehicle when they leave their vehicle. That gives a criminal access to actually taking your vehicle. So please take your spare key fobs with you inside. And the other thing is, obviously, as you've known in the past, bicycles in the downtown area being taken, we encourage residents to take their bicycles inside if they can in their residence. And that's really all I have for District 5, unless anybody has any questions.
Do anyone from District 5 have any questions for Lieutenant Taylor? Tyler, I'm sorry. Do anyone have any questions for Lieutenant Tyler? Thank you so much, Lieutenant Tyler. We certainly appreciate having you with us.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
District 4, Captain.
Yes, sir. Hey, this is Lieutenant McMaster, Tom McMaster here again. Good to see you again. I'll be kind of brief this morning. I think Lieutenant Tyler actually covered most of the things I was going to and talked about some prevention issues, very similar issues going on in District 4 and District 5. I would like to say and just start out with that overall, we've experienced a decrease again in violent crime in District 4. Our robberies and our aggravated assaults continue to trend downward. Our motor vehicle theft and our larceny from motor vehicles seem to be the biggest issues that we're really facing these days. While they still are tending to trend downward, the numbers, and a little flat, we still need some help, as Lieutenant Tyler mentioned, with locking vehicles. Don't leave them running. Please don't leave valuables in them. As Lieutenant Tyler mentioned as well, something we experienced here in District 4 the last month was a string of larcenies from construction sites. As all of you who live down in the south end of town know, there's a lot of construction going on, a lot of construction sites. We experienced a spike there. Luckily, some of you may have seen in the news yesterday, it looked like Orange County, Durham County, and a couple other jurisdictions to our west made an arrest yesterday of a suspect who had been involved in several, believed to be involved in several larcenies from construction sites. Our investigators are working with them, and hopefully we can use this information, and this arrest might help to clear some of our cases and to make a difference. Again, I don't really have much else that Lieutenant Tyler didn't talk about. Just one other thing, if I could have another moment, that is kind of exciting to me, and Will Oakley from the Sheriff's Office is experiencing the same thing. We have our next basic law enforcement training academy starting on Monday as well. It's roughly 26 weeks. We refer to as Academy 55. They'll be there. I think we've got between 12 and 15 new officers in training, and we look forward to getting them out on the street to get some help to help all of the hardworking men and women that we've already got out here. I would ask of you, all of you here on this call with us today, that if you know anyone who would be a great candidate for us, to please refer them to us. Nieces, nephews, sons, daughters, neighbors. People connected to the city of Durham are great candidates for us. We would love to have them referred to you. When I'm done here in a minute and the chief takes over, I will put out in the chat the link to our recruiting website and a phone number if anyone would like to use that to reach out directly to them. Again, I don't really have anything else unless anybody has any questions. I'd be happy to address them.
Anyone have any questions for Lieutenant McMathis? Thank you so much, Lieutenant. We certainly appreciate it. If you have any questions that you can think of a little later on, just put them in the chat.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have our chief with us, Chief Andrews. It's always good to have you with us, Chief. And it's always good to see you back.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chestnut. It's so good to see your face too. Good to be back.
We try to have folks to send us in questions before you got here, and I hope that you got the questions. So right now we're gonna turn it over to you. Ma'am, do you have anything you want to say?
Yes, we do have some questions. I think I sent them in, but I can pull them up and we can go from there. I do see we have Mayor O'Neill on with us. It's always great to see you also.
Good morning, everybody. I'm here.
Thank you. Okay, yes, I do have those. First question, what are the top 3 issues you are focused on at this time?
Well, so obviously, you know, the elephant in the room is the violent crime, right? That the city of Durham is experiencing, and so for all of us, that's a tremendous concern. So the police department is focusing on, you know, really zeroing in and being laser focused on some of our enforcement efforts, really trying to identify, apprehend, and dismantle those groups that are most involved in the gun crimes here in Durham. As well as, you know, building up our community efforts, right? So our partnerships that are so critical within our community, as we know, and you all have heard me say this time and time and time again, you know, the crime that we are experiencing is a result of something deeper within the root, right? This is just not all about crime, and there's access, and I'll you know say that the mayor is working extremely hard with her colleagues to really address some of those quality of life issues that we know, if left unaddressed or left on their own, will simply kind of sprout into this poisonous fruit, which is what we call crime. So recruiting, retention, big on the list of my staff and I. You know, we want to recruit the best and the brightest. Certainly that sounds, it's definitely easier to say it than it is to actually do it. Because nationwide trends of officers leaving law enforcement altogether is something that we are certainly not immune from here in the city of Durham. But I've got a great team, and I've got a great team of recruiters, and I'm really excited about this academy that's starting on Monday. Yes, Valentine's Day. It was not a cruel and unusual joke that we were playing. It just happened to shake out that way. They'll be starting on Monday. It's a good looking group, and we're very hopeful that we will be able to graduate all 12 of them at the end of this 22 weeks. Retention is huge. So let me tell you, the officers that I call them my ride or dies, right? These are the ones that have gutted it out, have stuck through thick and thin, go to other agencies, but have chosen to remain here within their community, no matter where they call home after they leave their shift. This is their community as they have expressed to me. And so keeping them close to us is extremely important. And then finally, making sure that we are serving our community in a way that our community has been accustomed to, providing, you know, the efforts that really, you know, move us away from the enforcement measures and more towards being a part of the change that we are all wanting to see here in the city of Durham. So those are the top three. Obviously, as I always say, it changes from year to year. It's always a living document, but certainly right now, those are the top three.
Thank you. And it goes kind of into the next question. We know that the last police chief asked budget funds to hire additional officers. Do you see that is still a need or of concern? And what is the estimated number of officers Durham's need right now in the city?
Well, so I will tell you, Chief Davis, to my understanding, the request for officers came from a broader vision, a need to address the blossoming increase of violent crime, and really do some resource allocation that was geared towards doing that. You know, as our community grows, the needs are going to grow. And right now, what we need to do is fill the vacancies that we currently have before I start moving forward into asking for more positions. We have approximately 80 vacancies right now, but I certainly am hopeful that that's a temporary issue for us, because I'm very hopeful that the measures that council has brought forward in approving the recent pay plan, that was a tremendous step in the right direction, coupled with some innovative ideas that we actually have right now for recruiting the best and the brightest, and then retaining our officers will help us get to that point where I can take a step back and say, okay, at this point, do we need more officers? Are we where we need to be? So right now I can't necessarily answer that question. I have to say to you that we need to fill the vacancies first before I start saying we need more officers.
Okay. The next question, and it kind of hit on something you spoke about in your earlier statement. Gun violence continues to rise. Most recently, we know we had students at Duke who were held up in their apartments, and et cetera. Just one last night. What is your immediate plan and your long-term plan to help combat this issue?
So what I recognize is that gun violence and combating the issue of gun violence is an us problem. So all of us here on this call, and it's partnership, and it's not, immediately what we've done is we've partnered with Duke Public Safety, we've partnered with the apartment management, and addressing that particular unfortunate incident that happened the other night with the young people that happened to be Duke students. And I think that that's just a smaller part of a bigger measure. Gun violence, combating crime is not a one-off. It's not a one and done. We have to be consistent in our efforts. And so when we start developing these models of incorporating our partnerships with the communities in various ways, whether it's with, the Sidekicks program that is helping our babies, right? Our littles is what I call them, in our most needed areas. To getting out and having these community forums that talk about safety and what to look for. And as Lieutenant Tyler was saying, see something, say something. That is not a one and done. That is a constant measure that should be now and in the future. So that really is for us, coupled with enforcement, some of the measures that we are doing right now.
Okay, on a lighter note, someone asked, can you tell how you became a police officer?
Oh, Lord. Okay. I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. And I think Mr. Chestnut might have heard, some of you might have heard this. So I never wanted to be a police officer. I wanted to be a marine biologist. So I wanted to go study the ocean and marine life and how coral grows and things that we do impacts our fish in our oceans. So that's what I wanted to do, but you had to be great at biology, and I'm not great at biology to this day, I'll admit it, nor math. That's why I have very smart people around me that are good at math. So I recognized my weakness. Life happened. I became a parent very early on, and I realized that I needed some stability in my life. I was on government assistance programs, you name it. I was a recipient. And one day I just happened to open the newspaper when there really wasn't a such thing as newspapers being available electronically, and the Durham Police Department was hiring. And I was going to be making a whopping $23,472 at the time. And, the insurance benefits even then were fantastic. City of Durham has some of the best insurance benefits, hands down, in this area. And you all know, I personally know that. And so I signed up, and, I always say that my steps were ordered, and I believe that at that point, that was the start of me, embarking on this path that I was always meant to be on. So Cliff Notes version.
Okay. How receptive, and let me get this question right, what is it? How receptive has the Durham City Council been to your request or forming a relationship with you?
Oh, I will tell you, all of them have been receptive. I would say this, I think our city council has a lion's share of a task to do. You want to talk about heavy lift, right? So I always look at them as people balancing these delicate plates of china. and trying to maintain the balance and making sure everything is addressed. And you know, the needs of the community as it relates to safety is certainly one of those huge tasks. So what I would say to you is that I have not made any formal asks that have, you know, this is my first budget with going to council. But leading up to that, I will say to you is that I have been welcomed warmly. I have been provided the support from our council members, you know, and so I can feel it, and I can say to you very genuinely that there is the support there.
Okay, there's a question also in the chat room. Can the police salary increase be shared from what to the new salary range?
Yeah, so let's see here. So we can actually put what the pay plan, what the new pay plan is, but our recruiting, and y'all, those of you Assistant Chief Clancy, you all please feel free to jump in if you know it off the top. I know the recruiting increased almost 10%. 10 or 12% and went to 43. So when we bring a recruit in, we're bringing them in at 43,000. And then once they graduate, they become a police officer at the 0 band. And so that's increased to 46,009. So across the board, we saw essentially about a 12% increase along our step plans from recruit all the way to captain. And so, and it just kind of varied depending on where you were in the step plan.
What can the community do to assist the police department addressing the crime here in Durham?
Well, you know, I would say, you know, be open to taking the first step to involvement, right? I think that's whether, you know, you urge your church group, your faith leader, to become involved in some of the things that the community is doing. So, you know, when we talk about mentoring and, you know, be open to being in a space that maybe you would never necessarily be in, right? I think that's tremendous as we start talking about really touching the part of the community that genuinely have not felt the all of the community around them. So be open to doing that. Also, you know, partnering with the police department. So we're going to have a lot of great stuff coming up. We're going to be relying on our PACs. We're going to be, you know, kind of sprouting our wings, as I like to say, as it relates to doing some things that we have done in the past that just need to be revitalized a little bit. So just be there for us. Obviously, you know, if you see something, say something, be actively involved, but mostly just be a part of your community in more ways than just one.
What can we tell our community members who really feel scared to go out into the community or go to public venues?
Well, so what I can say is this, I understand. You know, I understand the fear because it's a human emotion, right? I think all of us can understand that the fear of being caught up in you know, gun violence is a very real fear. What I will say to you is this, is that, you know, as much as I appreciate the work that our media does, sometimes our media tends to really focus on the bad things that are happening in our community, and it gives the perception that this is Durham, and this is not Durham. We are not the gun violence that is so often reported. We are not the negative headlines that is so often reported. We are the great events that are happening in Durham, and more times than not, events that happen in our community are happening in a peaceful way, are enjoyed by so many, and the gun violence that happens is a small portion of really a larger part of really what our community is, and that is a safe community. So that's what I would say. I have no fear, and I have gone out in Durham. I have been unarmed. So I don't always carry my gun with me, right? But I have gone out in the city of Durham many times, even before coming back to Durham as your police chief, and have enjoyed the amazing things that Durham truly has to offer. And I'm here.
In the chat room, are there any opportunities to volunteer with the department?
Yes, absolutely. So we obviously COVID really put a damper on a lot of the initiatives that we had in which folks could volunteer, internships. We'll be sharing more of that with you probably next month, but there are opportunities in which to really be a part of the police department. And so staff will share more of that with you next month. We're trying to get it to where we're starting to open our doors again. But obviously we have to follow, the current guidelines in place.
Okay, and 2 more questions. What is your vision for the Durham City Police Department?
Well, it's very simple for me. I want a police department where all are welcome. I want a police department that are made up of a team that is not just officers, but we are family. A police department that is committed to serving all of our community and serving them in an equal way, right? And serving them with an empathetic and kind and caring heart. That's my vision for the police department. Also too, serving a community that is not afraid of being close to an officer, that is not afraid of calling on an officer. So that's my vision. And there is no doubt in my mind that we will get to that place.
Okay, I think that's it. Last question. Are we going to lose our captain anymore in District 4? We have lost our captains a lot.
Well, no.
Well, I
So
mean,
your
to
current
several things,
captain,
they moved.
Yeah, you've had, so, that's, I will say this to you. I will say that, we've had a lot of turnover and have had to do a lot of resource reallocation. And your current, your captain, she is on the road to retirement. And so Lieutenant McMaster has stepped in as the acting commander. Unfortunately, I can't, I don't have a crystal ball. We tend to put people where they are most needed and best fit. But certainly, I think Lieutenant McMaster is doing a fantastic job. I can see him being placed in other places within the department, but I will certainly have him sit a spell with you all.
I do not see any more questions in the chat, and that was all the ones that were sent to me. If anyone else have any others, please unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
Does anyone have any questions for the chief?
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
I want to know why the nation is doing such a wonderful job of putting females into positions of power. And Chief Andrews, I'd like to know if you know, and maybe, and I'm sure Mayor O'Neill too would know, and all the other leaders we have. And Amanda, by the way, I think you're just as wonderful as your father. Forgive me for saying that earlier. You're just as wonderful. Okay. Now, with that said, what do you think is happening? Why are we having so many police chiefs as that are females now?
So I think that, and women, we have a different perspective. We see this greater world of law enforcement with a different lens. I would also say too that women, particularly in law enforcement, but really this might be able to translate to other fields, that women, we are starting to realize our worth. and our role in this entire world, right? We are starting to no longer second guess our abilities and starting to feel very supported in our roles, and also where we can go in any organization. And so I think it's a couple of different things. If I had to maybe put my finger on any one, I don't know that I could. I think it's a combination of things. And certainly seeing other women in those, in those leadership capacities, and seeing women that look like you in those roles. And I do want to just say two things. The department is going to be kicking off as a part of an overall recruiting strategy, a 30 by 30 initiative. So it's a nationwide initiative. Police departments take this pledge. It's called 30 by 30, in which over the course of the next year, couple years until 2030, we pledge to increase our female off ranks in the Durham Police Department by 30%. And I will tell you that we actually are slightly above the national average for women within the ranks. And so that's a tremendous endeavor, but certainly I know that we can get there. And also too, I will acknowledge that our male counterparts are extremely supportive. And so when you have men that support you in an organization that have been traditionally non-supportive for years past, right? And you feel that support, you also feel that's a critical component that we need, right, to be supported.
And Joyce, I just want to add, while there are a lot of women chiefs, we still are underrepresented in the leadership and policing. And so I always like to see women in leadership positions. Yes, Caroline.
Good morning, everyone. I live in the Penrith neighborhood and work with our neighborhood watch group there. But I also teach at Hillside High School. And I wanted to ask a question to the chief, just how you feel about this recent push to, sorry, I meant to turn on my video too, to remove SROs from our schools. I can only speak to what I've seen in the Hillside building, but our SROs, both from DPD and the county sheriff's department, are wonderful, get to know our students, and I feel protect us more from things that are happening around our campus than anything that's happening on our campus. But I just wanted to get your take on this recent push to take SROs out of our school system.
So here's what I will say. I think, there have been times where law enforcement officers, officers have been placed in school systems just to simply be placing them there. And so the images that you see on TV are often a result of someone that has been placed in a position that they didn't want to be. And I think the SRO program is extremely critical, but only if you're placing people in positions where they want to be. I think the reason why you have officers and sheriff's deputies that are in the schools right now that are, especially as you noted in Hillside, that are doing a great job is because their heart wants to be there. Right. We've got to be very selective about how we put, where we place our officers and in roles, particularly that involves our kids. Right. Because what we don't want to see is that where we end up having more of our Black and brown children being placed into this system that we know historically, once they're placed in, if they don't receive the diversion and the treatment that they need, they are going to continue on into adulthood. So I would say I'm supportive of the program so long as we make a commitment to placing the officers that want to be there in those schools, and also, follow how they interact with our children.
Thank you.
There's a suggestion by Bob. Says, can the chief go to the high school and tell her story to get recruits?
Oh, absolutely. I love, absolutely. And I think that's a fantastic idea. Essentially, you're talking about kind of our Police Explorer program, really getting them involved very early on with that program, and following them through until basic law enforcement training, when we can bring them in. Appalachian State University has my previous agency, we actually recruited 2 officers from Appalachian State, because they start their basic law enforcement training as soon as someone is a freshman. And so they do this training. It's almost like an early college program, but starts in the freshman year. And then once they have graduated, they are already state certified. So yeah, absolutely. That was a great question.
Okay, I do not see any more hands up, and there are no more questions in the chat room. We turn it back over to Dad. Anything else? You're on mute.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Chief.
everybody.
We certainly appreciate you being with us today, and you will be back. I
have a question. I have a question for the Chief. I have a question. What is your policy on the no knock warrant? What's your policy on the no knock warrant?
Okay, so we actually do have a very strict policy regarding no knock warrants. So as the state of North Carolina actually is very specific on when no knock warrants can even be applied for and used. And what I will say to you is that our policy is we do permit no knock warrants. However, there is a guideline that says, one, there has to be an articulable, am I saying that word right? There has to be a reason for the no knock warrant in connection with the fear of loss of life. So for example, I'll give you an example. If we had somebody that was holding people hostage, right? And we knew we did not want to announce that we were going to come and execute a search warrant there in order to rescue those people, you would do a no knock warrant. Because the idea is that if you went up to the door and knocked and announced police, 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 that person would potentially kill those people. And so I will tell you, in the last 12 years, I believe, we have only executed 2 no knock warrants. And so I think that's, and we don't apply, that's not generally not our practice or our policy, although if it meets the guidelines, certainly our staff can apply for those. We also do maintain strict guidelines for approval. So, no knock warrants have to be signed by a superior court judge. We will go and petition for a superior court judge's signature on no knock warrants. And we don't take it lightly. It's the highest of standard for warrants, and we certainly are very aware of the dangers of executing no knock warrants. If you talk to our SWAT team folks, they actually do not like to execute no knock warrants. There is an inherent higher level of risk that they just don't. They don't want to put the person that's inside that home in, and they certainly don't want to put themselves at that risk. And so for that reason, all of our warrants, with the exception of 2 in the last 12 years, have been knock and announce warrants.
Thank you, Chief.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Chief. Any other question for the Chief? Chief, thank you so much for being with us today. We certainly would appreciate it. Thank you so much. We have our mayor. Mayor O'Neill, are you still with me? I think she's gone. I still see her on there.
I'm still here, Chief. I'm still here, Mr. Chestnut. I'm trying to be on 2. We had PAC 3 as well, so I moved away so you wouldn't hear them saying their goodbyes. But I'm happy to be here this morning. Happy to see you all. It's been a whirlwind 60 plus odd days, and I hope to be able to come back and join you all so we can really talk.
Okay, thank you so much for visiting us today, Mayor. We're certainly glad to have you. So we will have you back so you can give us more of an update of what's going on in the city. Do we have any other guests with us? Ma'am, do we have anyone else?
No, I don't see anyone else as I scan over. Everyone's a guest, but I don't see any special guests.
Special guests, yeah.
Kevin, did you want to bring me in the last remarks from the community engagement?
Hey, yeah, I just wanted to say hey to everybody. It's kind of our code enforcement season, so they'll have requests and then we'll kind of follow with the community with that. Just going into the spring, we do have a community event kind of softly planned, pending COVID and weather, but we have a neighborhood matching grant that Booker Street actually got. So we'll be out there, we'll have a DJ, we'll try to get the neighbors outside and get them to know each other with food and music and such, and we'll clean up the neighborhood and make it look a little better and interact with each other. But if you would like a neighborhood matching grant or just some type of event, it doesn't have to be anything that's official. You just want to get to know your neighbors and get everybody outside. You have a community leader, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll help organize that. We can do anything from flyers to just knocking on doors and people getting to know each other safely with distance and however we can do it. So that's the kind of season we're in. As we go into the summer, our community engagement, of course, will ramp up. So I do encourage people to reach out to me soon before we kind of start putting in dates for our summer engagement. So my name is Kevin Jones. I'm with Neighborhood Improvement Services Community Engagement. I'll put my email address and phone number in the chat.
Okay, thank you so much. Do anyone have anything they'd like to say, any announcement they'd like to make? Okay, I always like to recognize our Major Clancy. Clancy, I know I always put you on the spot. Do you have anything you like to bring?
I'm just gonna reply to Lamanda's. Y'all didn't lose me. I'm still here. So even though I moved up, I'm still with District 4, and you can always count on me.
All right, I have everyone. I will be sending you all in about 10 minutes. I have all the updated PowerPoints and information. So all the community leaders who asked for them, I will be sending them out to you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks, Harold.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jazz, so much. And if no one else has anything they want to bring or say, thank you so much for coming. And to all the lovely ladies that's here today, have a wonderful Valentine. Thank all of you. Thank you. So goodbye. And
thanks, everybody. Have a great week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.